Sounds good.
Okay.
I don't think we have any new introductions, or really any updates. Do you have any updates on your side, Natalie?
I guess I could update. We had our Kansas City quarterly meeting, or Healthy Lifestyles Collaborative quarterly meeting last Thursday, and we had an expert on like life stages of physical activity. I thought she was really impressive, and if anyone's interested in watching the playback of that meeting, I could put that in the chat. I did mess up. I started the recording like on our second slide, so sorry about that, but the content is mostly there.
Oh my goodness. Okay. We'll go ahead and pull up strategy cards. I think, have finalized these. Let's see if I can pull it up. Share my screen.
Do you need me to try to pull them up or?
No, I think I've got it. I
Perfect.
think no one ever used Zoom, so I had to figure out where share was. Okay, can you see them?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, so finalized our strategies here. And so we've got these little cards on the side, which we are updating photos for. We currently, I don't know if you've got any new photos yet, Missy, but we've got one for strategy 45.
Yes.
You were looking at some for
43.
43.
And 42, I believe.
Okay. Awesome.
Yeah.
I think last we spoke, I was going to try to get a race photo for 41, but I have been denied that because 18 and under, they're not comfortable sharing the photos, I guess. So to be used consistently. So we might want to regroup with another.
Yeah, we can touch base on that.
Yeah. So we are updating these photos, more KC based, hopefully more local organizations, companies, events, variety of things of what that looks like. I know we talked maybe corporate challenge for a couple, if that makes sense, may not work. Yeah. Anything to add there, Missy?
No, those have been published on the website, so they are up for public to view. And like Tanya said, they have been finalized. They will be on the website and then eventually will be, Natalie, correct me if I'm wrong, published in is it in the cards or magazine in the book? And is that spring 2025 that comes out next?
I believe Parks is updating some of theirs, so it's kind of when they're done with theirs, so we don't have to purchase twice.
TBD when that will be published next, but next time it is published, it will have our updated strategies and tactics in it, along with Park sector's updated strategies and tactics. So very exciting things to get to see that out in the world. Yeah, so that's really everything I have on that. Do you want to take us into the next part, Tanya?
Yeah, so implementation, we have one implementation we'd like to get in this year before 2024 ends. It may not actually be voted on necessarily this year. Our goal is that it is, but they may come back and say, hey, we need a little bit more additional information prior to doing that, but we are going to go ahead and push it forward. So we have briefly discussed the Just Walk program. And so we are going to move forward with this program. It was essentially established by the healthcare sector, but we will fund the second walk, second location for the walk in coordination with the healthcare, but also looking at potentially expanding it a little further into other sectors down the road, potentially Parks and Rec, as we mentioned. And it could even go further than that as we continue to add locations over time. So
We do have inquiries out for a couple different locations, trying to find the best based on our previous conversations. Tanya and I have been reaching out to contacts at those locations. So hopefully we will be able to finalize that location in the coming weeks. But we won't have the definitive location in time for the December quarterly meeting of sector leads. But we do hope to we will be able to present to them the two top ones that we are in active discussions with for locations.
One of them being, I think we've already mentioned them, Town Center location being one, and then the second one being
so one of them being the Town Center, Corporate Woods, and then the other one being that Hesperia campus with that walking path attached to it.
Which those two are both really close. So I think, okay. So I think we're hoping that the Town Center Hesperia one has lots of interest, but we're gauging that interest currently to see if that's a good fit across the board.
Yeah.
So just waiting to hear back from some of those organizations about that. But essentially it would cover strategy 20. Here, I'll share my screen again if that's helpful for visual people.
Want me to just share the application, Tanya?
Oh yeah, that'd be great.
You want? Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, I think Shelley wanted us to, well, the normal process is we have the sector review it before the core work group meeting.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah, we can just go through this start to finish. And then if you all would like to add or change anything, definitely let us know. So this is the application that Tanya and I will be presenting to the sector leads at the quarterly meeting. We will be asking for $2,500 to support this program, which builds on the existing program, as Tanya already stated. And then the strategies and tactics do align with the healthcare sector's strategy 20, which is already in existence. They do already have one location of Just Walk in existence that's actively being conducted from the Children's Mercy campus. And then the other strategies that align with business and industry sector is our strategy 41, to encourage employees and their families to adopt physical activity through opportunities and incentives. And then 42, as well, with all of the tactics incorporated in 42, to engage in the cross-sector partnership with the healthcare sector, as well as potentially down the line, the park and rec sector, to encourage physical activity in the workplace and extend these efforts to local communities and regions. Tanya, do you want me to keep going? Do you want to take this?
Yeah, either way. So the next one is system levels. And currently we have one that we meet, which is individual interpersonal. So obviously it's meeting the needs of individual or set individuals, families, and co-workers. It could be examples such as health fair, info sessions. But essentially this activity aligns with the individual behavior that provides an opportunity to be active, out and about, and learn about health-related topics, ask questions of healthcare professionals. And our next steps to add to the system level, as well as align with another sector, would be to work with built environment and advocacy to help expand that, or expand the walking paths, better the walking paths, add crosswalks, or whatever that might look like to make it a better solution for individuals.
So other sectors that would be involved for this project, the business and industry sector will be partnering with healthcare sector to expand their existing program, Just Walk, to additional walking locations, targeting specifically businesses to engage with the employee population of the Kansas City region. And we will also engage with park and recreation sector as we confirm our locations and walking paths. As a couple of the past recommended and that we are pursuing are managed by local park and recreation programs. So there is that opportunity for additional partnership and assessment of those available resources to the public.
And then after we implement this walk, kind of what our next steps look like, what we hope is that we can continue offering these walks on an ongoing basis, expand if needed, if they're that successful, but to continue to also connect with other walks taking place in the metro, promote more broadly, as well as help encourage other sectors to promote these activities as well. This would help encourage healthcare institutions to hopefully take the lead on hosting additional sites across the metro. So kind of hopeful as we've got one in place, as we add a second one, hopefully there'll be room to continue to expand this across the KC metro area. And then continue to identify and assess how we can build the environment for better opportunities or to improve those, the environment around it, whether it be the city parks and rec board infrastructure changes. This group also has the ability to influence different policy practices and changes within organizations that could look something like employee wellness, whether it's physical activity, might be taking your meetings outside to walk now, or active breaks, just ways that we can encourage workplaces to continue to implement physical activity, as well as communities and participating businesses to support employee wellness programs and local infrastructures.
And then for funding, we are requesting that $2,500. The breakdown would be $250 approximated to continue the current walk program for the additional year. That is the cost of the program, the Just Walk program. And then $650 would establish this second location. That is part of the programming fee as well, to have a second location. And then $1,600 would be allocated for purchase of water bottles on the walk, supplies, equipment, maybe swag, giveaways like t-shirts, water bottles, etc., and or marketing to promote the program within the individual businesses in the regions that we select for our Just Walk location. So that was a lot. Any questions on this current project applications? Anything you'd like us to dive in a little further?
No, I think it's clear. It's good.
So is everyone in this group comfortable with us moving forward, presenting this at the core work group meeting?
Absolutely, and thank you for putting time to pull that together.
Yeah, it looks good.
Perfect. Then we will move forward with putting this together, and hopefully we can get this through on the December meeting. That is our goal, so it can be implemented going, right into 2026. Or sorry, 2025. Don't even know what year it is.
Wow, the year went by really fast.
I know. Just a blink of an eye.
I know. Goes by fast enough.
And then hopefully we can get this implemented right into 2025. But if not, if they do, the only big hesitancy we see is if there's any questions about us finalizing a walking location. And if that's the case, we will definitely be pushing to get that defined for sure in January's meeting. But our hope is that with us having it narrowed down to 2 locations, that will meet the needs for this application.
And if anyone has additional contacts that you have for town center area or Corporate Woods, let us know. We're happy to reach out to continue to gauge that interest.
Definitely. Wonderful. Okay. Moving right along. Where are we? Is it me next?
Yes, sports donations.
Yeah,
Corporate Challenge
so the other implementation project development that we had previously discussed was the sports equipment donations, which I know you're all familiar with, but just for a quick refresher, that was something that we had partnered with Kansas City Corporate Challenge on last year during the kickoff walk for individuals within the business and industry sector to be able to drop off equipment at the kickoff walk, which were then redistributed through the charity of choice with Corporate Challenge, Cornerstones of Care, as well as other entities within the Children's Mercy contacts to get that equipment distributed. We were able to confirm that all equipment had been distributed that was collected at that event. So it was a successful event. It did meet our goals within that implementation project on that small scale. So one thing that we have been talking about and that we'd previously talked about as a group was how to scale up this sports equipment collection. And there are a couple different ways that we have been brainstorming on how to grow this program and to expand it within the business and industry sector, as well as maybe eventually other sectors. One of those is a possible partnership opportunity with Corporate Challenge if we can find a way to further integrate that program alongside them. And so that's some of the things that we want to discuss as best course of action moving forward. Does anyone have any thoughts on how we could go about that?
Out of curiosity, do we know how many, I don't know whether it's pieces of equipment or people that affected when we collected the last time with Corporate Challenge?
I know
At
we
the
had
walk.
over 150 donated items.
Oh, okay.
And then beyond that, then someone donated a whole bunch of socks. It's like,
Oh, okay.
Oh.
Okay.
no.
Okay. Okay.
And they went to, I think they supported 3 organizations.
Mm-hmm.
KC United and their football programming for girls and boys flag football, and the YMCA's Learn to Swim program for, I believe, 3rd or 4th graders. And then our athletic trainers at Children's Mercy are in different school systems. So they see a lot of kids that need like shoes and sports bras for gym class and stuff. So that group got some too.
Okay. Okay. Good to know.
And shoot, is it Operation Breakthrough maybe? Oh no, Cornerstones of Care too.
Yeah, Cornerstones of Care. Yeah.
Cornerstones of Care. Yep. Okay.
So with this, we are, like I said, we are looking at for opportunities to grow this. I know, Tanya, do you want to talk a little bit about like the projection that we've envisioned for how we could potentially grow this program?
outside of Corporate Challenge?
Yeah.
So there's a couple different ways, right? And I think the most recent way we've kind of discussed helps us solve for the problem of distribution, because that becomes, I think, one of the hardest pieces to figure out. And so I'm just going to use Garmin as an example. Literally right across the street, we actually have 2 schools. We have a middle school and a high school. And so what we could do is in those areas that have needs, so whether it's a certain school that has needs, whether it's a certain club, like if it's like the soccer club or whatever that might look like that has a need, finding a business close by that would be willing to organize and host these donation bins. And so figuring out, like, let's say IT and South had sports needs, the Garmin could say, hey, we're looking for any and all used or new equipment. We could say these are kind of the heavy ones that we really need, whether it be basketball, soccer balls, whatever that looks like. We could do a week or 2 of hosting this drive of collecting donations. And then at that point, because it's so close, I would envision someone on Garmin's staff could actually just take it over to the middle school and high school right there. And so we were able to very easily solve for the getting equipment where needed, as well as getting the equipment close by. So it would just really be taking interest forms, I think, of where is that need at? What, you know, what schools have a need, what sports teams have a need, what cities have a need, what that looks like, and then finding organizations nearby that are willing to host a drive for them.
So there are a few other ways that we have been envisioning this. One of the things is potentially growing it within Corporate Challenge through some sort of a either partnership or I'm not sure. It's not, I mean, it wouldn't be a sponsorship, but it would, you know, some sort of a partnership in the sense of providing the opportunity to collect equipment at specific events, depending what that could potentially look like. And with this would potentially be hitting a lot of our strategies, strategy 41, strategy 42, strategy 43. The sports equipment does hit a lot of those strategies with the different tactics within. So it would be a great fit if we can find the right way to expand this that makes sense. One of the other things that we know for cost purposes that we know would immediately be needed for funding are things like purchasing feather flags. One of the things we identified at the kickoff walk was a little bit of confusion between what was a trash can and what was, and so we would want to purchase feather flags as well as the boxes that Corporate Challenge does typically use for trash collection. They're cardboard boxes, but we could put decals on them highlighting what the equipment collection is being utilized for, and then netting so that it's easier to bag and transfer the balls and the different equipment. Sorry, I have hiccups. The different equipment that is collected. So those are a few of the initial fundings that we know would need to take place if we implemented this startup, but it was something that we wanted. It is very much in its infancy and is a newer project opportunity. So we did want to take this opportunity to talk through that with all of you and see if you had a vision on how we could best grow this next step.
Or any initial thoughts?
Or any initial thoughts, whether that's within Corporate Challenge itself or creating a, you know, additional company partnership, beneficiary partnership with a local school or something to that extent.
I really like Tanya's idea to, you know, from that extent. I'm not completely sure of the logistics of that and how that would work out, but I like that from a company involvement perspective. And then I think it might also really be a good match for Corporate Challenge, right? Like, I think it definitely goes with what we do with Corporate Challenge. I'm almost wondering if Missy, I don't know, and Lacey, maybe you would have thoughts on this too, if we talk with the board a little bit more about how it could work with Corporate Challenge, whether that's we have more bins at certain events or you know, because if the walk went well, and I think 150 pieces of equipment is really good for one, you know, for the walk for just one event, are there some other events where it would be a good place to add?
Like the 5K might be
like the 5K or yeah.
So I did touch base with Chad and Matt at one point, and they had suggested that maybe the track meet could be a potential fit, flag football, because there's a lot of families there. And then they also mentioned potentially a fall series event. depending
Yeah.
how it fit and how it all came together.
For sure.
Mm-hmm. I'm just
What
wondering
that
for
looks
idea
like.
generation, if anyone
Yeah.
else would have any, have any other ideas on how we could utilize corporate challenge for,
Yeah, I like that.
because it is such a good match. If we're trying to collect sports
Mhm.
equipment, it kind of goes with, you know,
Yeah.
all of that. So,
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, I think, if it's just a matter of putting some messaging out and taking a collection bin, that's a pretty easy lift, in my opinion.
mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, the
And
logistics of getting that equipment to wherever it needs to go is another piece of it, but
Yeah.
And that was something that we had talked about within the funding being requested as well, was putting in a request for some potential costs for transportation and distribution of equipment. That would be something that we're like with Corporate Challenge, with the kickoff walk last year. There were individuals already at the event that we were able to distribute immediately on site to, and it quickly got into the hands of those that we needed. So that would be definitely the goal.
mhm.
To streamline everything. But I do, and Shelley was the one that mentioned this, and I agree that I think it's important to have that cushion of costs in case for some reason there was a need for someone to drive it down to a
Mhm.
location to get it distributed quickly, so that equipment isn't sitting around
For sure.
and it's quickly getting into the hands of those that need it.
Yeah.
Hi, Shelley. We're touching on the sports equipment potential implementation project and how to grow it.
Sounds good.
I don't know if another thought for kickoff walk is kind of doing it differently, making it a competition to see which businesses or business can, end up getting the most donations. That may drive numbers a little bit. And in terms of cost of distribution, I don't know what the back end looks like. I know, you can rent the U-Haul or the U-Haul or the Lowe's trucks relatively cheap. If we already know where the equipment needs to be distributed, that might be an easy solve in terms of cost. But I think you almost need to know where it's going
Yeah.
I
prior
will
to
say
the
one of
event
the
I
itself.
think so.
Yeah, I will say one of the things that worked really well last year was we reached out to Cornerstones of Care and asked them specifically what they needed and had those as recommendations. But then, like Natalie pointed out, there were 2 additional partners that we were able to distribute the other random items that we got right into the hands of those that needed it. So that seemed to work really well in collecting and getting it out. So if we do pursue this, with that kickoff walk, especially, I think it would be important to, once, Corporate Challenge approval happens, get that information from Cornerstones of Care on what they would need.
What is that process? I mean, I know we know Cornerstones of Care and we work with them often and know what, they know us, so they know how to ask for what they need. But what about other organizations? How do they ask for or submit a request for, certain things that they might need?
Here it was
Shelley,
mostly,
I was gonna say, Natalie, do
I
you want to
think it
take
was
that?
mostly we had a connection with someone that worked for those organizations, whether
Oh, okay.
like our other sectors or worked through
Mm.
Corporate Challenge or.
So kind of it's not really a formal ask, it's just word of mouth and knowing someone that might know someone.
We talked about coming
Just
up with
fair.
some sort of like recipient form.
Like some kind of
so
form
people
that
can
maybe,
submit needs.
yeah.
Yeah, and that would be the next part of this as we grow this sports equipment collection process, potentially creating a form of needs that we could hand directly to them and have that on hand for whether, it's indicates time of year they need certain things, or how to notify us of that, so that, the I think one of the biggest things with this is quickly getting that, once it's collected, getting it distributed so that it's not being stored somewhere or piling up in Shelley and Natalie's offices.
Yeah, we don't have storage.
And so that is one of the big things, is we don't have storage for it. And so having that form, I think, would really help us to have on hand, all right, we got a bunch of random footballs, but
Who needs
our main
footballs?
organizations don't need it. Who needs it?
Who needs
And we'd have a
footballs?
quick
Yeah.
spreadsheet to be able to see who typically is needing footballs and things like that, whether it's area schools, park and rec locations,
Yeah.
youth programs, what have you.
Youth programs. Yeah, definitely. Okay.
And if we have that list and they have that need and we've got the item, there may be a better chance that they're willing to swing by and pick it
Right.
up.
Maybe they'll come
right?
by and pick it
Because
up.
Mhm.
It's a need that they have that, yeah, I feel like they'd be more willing
Yeah.
to do so.
Yeah.
I put a link in here to an organization that does this nationally. When we were like looking at models for sports equipment donations, Project Play Team connected us with them, and Robin and I have met with them and talked to them. They've actually kind of followed where the Project Play cities have been around the country. The difference being like they need a big financial investment initially. Like to come to Kansas City, it would take $200,000 to $300,000, they thought. Other cities have been lucky that they've got Under Armour or the Ravens supporting them, like things like that.
Oh, yeah.
But they basically run like a Harvesters, but for sports equipment donations for kids.
Well, do we reach
Oh.
out to the Chiefs?
Yeah. Or Casey
didn't
Current, like.
Yeah, there you go. Casey Current, perfect. Or all of them. See if they're willing to.
Could be good to, as we grow this program, look for opportunities where we could create a larger partnership. I think that could, be a really great opportunity to grow this program. I don't know how we reach out to other than, but I think that could be a great opportunity.
Well, if it's highly
I like that.
successful at Corporate Challenge, I think the word would get out.
Yeah, I agree. So one thing we have been working on is a very rough implementation project application for this. And I've been quickly taking notes as we've been talking about this. So as I'm kind of going through this together, would it be easiest if I just share this? Mine is not as neat as the last one. Just bear with me. Do you think that'd be easiest if I just kind of share it with you all? And then we can go through it step by step?
Sure.
Okay. Now I'm in that same thing Tanya was, is how do I share it?
It's on the bottom. It's like an arrow.
Oh, okay, I see. Is this the right guy? I think so. Okay, let's see if this is the right one. Okay. So as we're going through this, like I said, this is very rough. I was just trying to get some notes as we were talking and trying to get this formed so that we could create it all together. So with this implementation application, this project would expand the sports equipment collection program. It was implemented in 2024, which partnered with Kansas City Corporate Challenge through their Kickoff Walk program. Participants were invited to drop off new or gently used equipment. Oh my gosh.
Hey, Missy, do you you have that description that I put together? I think it was last year. Would it be helpful if I sent
I
it
can
to you?
find it and add it in.
Well, I didn't know if that'd be good enough for a description, you know what I mean?
Oh, yeah, I can look and try to add it in.
Let me see if I can open it up and find it, or
Okay.
open up my Teams and find it.
Okay. And then our strategies, I don't have this right in front of me since I'm sharing my screen, but Natalie, can you pull those up? Our strategies, I believe it's going to hit a couple of them. 41, 42, and I believe 43. Or Tanya, if either of you have those handy.
Cool.
Let me see here. Yeah, it's not gonna let me.
.43 is develop and effectively share a strong business case for investing in physical activity promotion.
One more time.
Develop and effectively share a strong business case for investing in physical activity promotion.
So that would probably be like more on the growth side of it eventually, if we want to try to partner with an existing organization, wouldn't it? Not the current.
I mean, by collecting it, we
Perfect,
are
thank you,
helping
Dana.
promote it, but
That's true. So 41 would be which tactics? Tactics 1, 2, and 4. Is that right? Do you agree with that?
well, it's 4 in the workplace only. Promote physical activity across multiple environments within the workplace setting.
Including. Yeah. So 1 and 2.
Yeah.
Okay. In strategy 42, we're looking at tactics
1,
1, 2. And 3.
Yeah.
Whoops. And 3. Okay. This is the one I
don't know about the scientific societies.
yeah.
Do you want to look at the sports strategy too to see which ones align maybe?
Yeah, let's look at and even I think honestly, I feel like even like schools or early child, the groups that we would be distributing to. Or no.
Simply.
Strategy 24. Did you think strategy 24 fell under that? Like on tactics 1 and 2?
Yeah. Well, if we're doing secondhand, the safe part's a little bit questionable, but
Yeah. Hmm. No, I don't think 25 falls in it.
Either.
Hmm. So just strategy 24.
like
Strategy
we-
this
23.
23
Yeah.
will work.
Yeah. And I can fill it in later, but tactics.
Like, I kind of don't know if we're like using data, but the idea is to provide the equipment to underserved populations.
Tactics, that one.
Mm-hmm.
Run after. I think it's just one that we're targeting.
I feel like strategy 11 on Parks and Rec might work.
Tactic 1.
One. I mean, tactic 2 could work back to the other thought of like the little library, but it ends up being like a sports equipment library where it's on the Parks and Rec site to kids know they can go there, pull a soccer ball out of the bin, use it, and then put it back in before they leave if they don't have their own ball to play with.
And 3 if we partner with Corporate Challenge. Well, environmental or conservation organizations that might not fall into the right. No. What about tactic 1 to build? I mean, this is a
I think that would be like
organization.
a next step almost, or that would be
Yeah, like down the line.
big dreams.
Yeah. I know I'm kind of going into like the growth instead of the like current.
Mhm.
Yeah. Um, mm, mm.
Okay. Are we good on the tactics?
I think so. Okay. So which system levels does this project address? Definitely individual and interpersonal. I don't have the full list in front of me. Do you want me to share my screen again?
Sure.
Make sure I'm on the right page again. Okay. I think I'm on the wrong one.
Does fit under organizing advocacy, so it is aligning efforts.
Oops.
Getting sports equipment to people who need it as the interpersonal individual behavior, and then aligning efforts to collect needed sports equipment in the interest of distributing to those in need.
And aligning efforts.
Yeah, both organizing and aligning efforts to get sports equipment to those in need. Dropped a couple files in the chat, Missy. One's a longer description of the equipment donation. It was a write-up for the Aspen Institute, and the other is the very specific request for corporate challenge.
Okay, thank you. Wait just a minute here. Oh, I see. My screen share was being weird. I needed to get all this fixed here. Okay. Excellent. There we go. I have too many things open all of a sudden. There we go. Okay. And then you said the build environmental and environment and design, or organizing and advocacy. That's what
Yeah.
this just needs moved over. There we go. I'm getting organized myself. I think it could eventually potentially move into policy, but I don't know that. I think that it's a few years in growing down the line. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, potentially.
Okay. And then what other sectors would be involved in this project? Park and recreation sector as well as the sports sector could be involved in it based on our strategies, which I'll have to finish outlining.
Potentially schools too.
Oh, and schools. Yeah. And then with the healthcare sector also, if we're utilizing, because wasn't one of the distribution partnerships through Children's Mercy group?
Yeah, it's our athletic trainers in schools, so I guess that one covers schools and healthcare.
Perfect.
In the past, our philanthropy department was able to get us some used sports equipment donated from people that reach out to the hospital that want to donate things. So if we do get this up and running, I could reach out to them again and see if they have those people willing to participate again.
Okay. Perfect. Yeah, that would, that would definitely also firm up the healthcare sector involvement, being able to partner with those organizations within Children's Mercy.
Would media and communications be a potential option as well in terms of helping promote something like this?
I think they get tied in with like the feather flags and
Box stickers.
because we'd be utilizing them on how to.
We could probably work with Katie and the Move Together campaign to promote the
Okay.
donations too.
Okay.
Yeah, I think in order to tie them in, it would have to tie into the Move Together campaign, which it could be branded Move Together KC or whatever that looks like. I think they would have to inform what they want that to look like.
Would you like me to add it? The media sector?
Yes.
Okay.
Media and communications.
And communications. I knew there was a second part on there. Okay. And then what would next steps after completing this project look like? So our hope is continuing to offer opportunities at the Kickoff Walk 2026 events. Additionally, growing the program to partner with area businesses for sports equipment collection, schools, connecting with schools, good grief. Organizations for distribution. And exploring further partnerships for growth of both the collection and distribution of equipment. that's clunky, but something else. So for the amount of funding being requested, we had talked feather flag pricing. I did put 250 in there. I know that's on the upper end of it on what we had been quoted, but just to give us some wiggle room on potentially even getting 2 versus just 1. The pricing that Corporate Challenge had provided for theirs was 120, so 250 could potentially get us 2. And then I wasn't sure how to price out the cardboard boxes, netting, etc. So any input you all may have on that would be, I'll love to talk through it.
How big are they normally? Like 40-gallon or?
Lacey, do you know the size of those cardboard trash cans that we get?
Oh gosh. Yeah, probably 40 gallon. And then as far as netting, were you thinking like the sports bags?
Yeah.
Yeah, let me see.
And Missy, a roundabout of how many boxes we would want or need?
I think to start off, I mean, they're fairly reusable as the netting would be. So I don't know to start off how many we would need. Shelley, would you say, I mean,
10.
yeah,
Is that a roundabout? Okay.
probably whatever the like smallest order clump is.
So yeah, if you got them from Uline in bulk of 10, it would be $65.50.
Mm-hmm.
So $6.55 a box.
Okay. 65.50
Yes, for 10 boxes.
plus shipping.
Yeah.
Probably around $75.
Yeah. Unless they're super heavy, I guess, but yeah.
And then netting.
I'm looking those up for you.
Okay.
Okay, so just the like mesh sports ball bags that you see around, you can get those on Amazon, just dependent on size. I'm seeing some for like $9, $10.
It's probably like 125 if we did. Well, we went need 10.
Here's one. I don't know. Let's see. It looks like they fit quite a few, but they have a 6-pack for $21.
So I don't think that we'd all be using all 10
Mm-hmm.
at one time.
No, I mean, I think $50 would cover it pretty easily.
Okay.
You might not even need to go that much.
Yeah. Okay. And then Natalie, Shelley, do you know how do you typically project marketing or promotion within a program of this type?
What do you mean?
So
Oh,
it would be like the having them weigh in on the feather flag design, the decals for the collection boxes, and then creating any type of marketing materials, whether it's like a
yeah.
postcard or something like that to distribute.
Natalie, does Katie provide support for that group?
Yeah, she would.
We
If-
should probably bring her into the mix at least and have her take it back to that group and see what opportunity there is. I'm guessing there's
Mhm.
nothing that's been developed yet, has there?
I think they have developed a few items. I think she'd be able to help us design something. And then as far as like getting those things printed, we have a vendor contract here at the hospital. She could help us get some pricing on some of that stuff. But yeah, I don't know the cost. I'd have to talk to her more about it.
Well, and the design for the communications and marketing team to help
Yeah.
do for some of these things.
I do think it would, and I'd love to hear everyone else's thoughts, but I do think it would be valuable for it to be a generalized marketing, utilizing their current campaign and marketing and not just a sports equipment marketing on the feather flags especially.
For sure.
So that they can be utilized by other sectors if needed, or if it, fit down the line, other events or programs.
As far as the labeling, like on the boxes for the donations, would we co-brand that with like corporate challenge? And is there anyone else?
I don't know.
Okay.
My answer is I hadn't thought that far.
Well, I don't think we need to sort that out for this application process, but
Okay. So I can leave that kind of question marks until you and I and Tanya circle back on what that marketing projection might look like. And then the last would be for costs of transportation and distribution of equipment. This would be in the case of, for some reason, we did not have the individuals at the site to distribute in that moment, and what that would look like.
Well, does storage come into place as well for this? Like if they're not at the site and we have to transport it somewhere, where are we transporting that to?
Yeah, we can incorporate storage. Ideally, we would have that aligned ahead of any events and collections that we do of where it's going, whether it's through
So-
the 3 partnerships we've already identified or through those forms moving forward for individuals to fill out as well. So ideally, correct me if I'm wrong, but ideally, I think the goal is to not have storage, but I don't think it's a bad idea to have it worked into the potential funding cost in case for some reason there was something to happen where we needed temporary storage.
So what does that look like? Does that look like renting one of the storage, like those small storage units? Does that look like?
I don't know that we'd have that much
Is it
equipment
just someone
yet.
keeping it in their car? Is it?
Garage.
Missy's garage.
Does that look like?
I charge X amount an hour.
What is your rate for storage?
This is a temporary solution to be able to leave the storage out of this budget for right now, but for the garden at the hospital, one of our partner areas has access to a storage room in one of our parking garages.
Oh,
So I keep some of our large garden equipment there
okay.
that doesn't really fit in our shed. So if we're talking about storing something for a week or whatever, it doesn't have to go in somebody's office. It can actually go in that shed. Sorry, go in that room. That's a decent sized room. And it's an outside in a garage, you know what I mean? So it's not like it's locked. It's nobody's working in there on a daily basis, so it's not going to interfere with that, but it gives us somewhere, not in the back of somebody's car.
Yeah, I like
Something
that.
Stuff there
Um,
temporarily.
For transportation distribution of equipment, for this, we're only proposing for the kickoff walk, correct? Or are we wanting to propose a partnership where we potentially incorporate additional events within Corporate Challenge? I'm just trying to think as far as like transportation.
More events with Corporate Challenge, but I think at this point it has to be tied to Corporate Challenge until we get enough people interested
Mhm.
or expecting it, or another group to say yes. You know
And
what
I
I mean?
think, you know, it's not going to hurt to propose that to the board and kind of get their input on helping us think through some of this. You know,
Yeah.
we have so many helping hands on that board. I wouldn't be surprised if some of them said, I have no problem, you know, taking that to a donation site.
Yeah, I agree. I think that we need to do that just for those additional ideas
Mm-hmm.
and
The
help.
other,
Like, I think there could be people that are like, yeah, I'll take it, you know?
Yeah.
yeah.
So, mhm.
Do you foresee Corporate Challenge wanting like additional funding to offer this opportunity, whether it like be a partnership or an event?
I don't think so.
Partnership?
No, I don't
Okay.
think so. I think this ties right into, you know, the mission of what Corporate Challenge stands for. And so I think it lines up nicely. And especially if, you know, board members are helping us out, then no, I don't think there's any need for
Okay.
money to be involved.
Okay. I don't know what to put for the transportation distribution costs. Could potentially be one to two events where something didn't get picked up.
And I think it would be highly unlikely that
Yeah.
somebody didn't take it, but in, you know, the off chance that we find ourselves, you know, absolutely unable to transport, then yes, I suppose you could look at renting something. So
Yeah.
$100 maybe.
Yeah, that was what I was thinking. Or if for some reason a staff person had to distribute it,
Mhm.
or you know,
Or someone on the board
Natalie
just
had
took
to
it with
drive
them.
it.
Yeah, or somebody had to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Natalie had to take it over to Lawrence or something.
Those
Mhm.
rentals are really cheap.
Yeah. But
Like
for the
less
most
than-
part, I just can't imagine anybody,
Yeah.
you know,
I like a
offering to take
safety
it.
net with stuff like this. I just don't want to
Yeah, for sure.
get in a pickle.
Yeah, I
and
think
not be able
100
to-
do it pretty easily.
Perfect. Our final amount for funding requested will be dependent on that marketing. Used for communications and or marketing to promote the program, but it's looking pretty good. Is that 475? Anything else within this application that you all would like to see added?
I'm just drafting an email to Katie. Missy, what
Okay.
items did I want to say that we might want to develop?
A feather flag, decal, sticker, and
Working mailer flyer.
communications
Flyers and social
or
media images.
yeah,
okay.
communications, flyers, and social media images.
Okay.
For both our social media, but then something that we could provide a Corporate Challenge for them to potentially utilize within their communications if they'd like to. And I kept the event, I'll just say during events to keep it broad on propose continuing this partnership. And I'll fix this so that it matches the wording, Shelley, that you sent me as well.
When you're done, Missy, I'd be happy to like look it over too.
That would be great. Thank you.
Mhm.
I'll send it to all of you.
Okay.
This partnership with Kansas Corporate Challenge. Creating opportunities for the equipment.
Hey, Missy.
Yeah.
Just because we're 15 minutes over time and I want to be respectful of people's time, do you think maybe we'll
Oh,
wrap
yes.
this one? We'll wrap this one up and then we can make changes and then bring it back to the next meeting to do like a final review of it.
Yes, I can email this out. Is this something I guess we need to clear up? Do we want to try to present in the 2024 season or 2024 year, or are we going to push this into 2025 budget?
I think it's pretty big doubt. We could probably, with it being so early in terms of implementing, actually physically implementing in 2025, right? Because that kickoff walk is April. Is that correct?
Mm-hmm.
That we probably want to get it to them as soon as possible.
Yeah. So do we want
Natalie, is
to,
that
do you feel
turnaround time?
comfortable? Do you feel comfortable presenting in 2024?
At our next meeting.
Yeah, at our next meeting.
My-
Is that
Fine.
next
We
week?
kind of did it last year already, right? So it's not.
Yeah. Is that next week?
Yeah, it's next Tuesday.
Okay, so I hope so because I'm off.
Yeah, I feel like we can finalize it by then.
Okay, she usually sends them out the Friday before, or the latest the Monday before.
Okay.
I mean, I think
Well,
it's pretty. I think we could probably wrap it up by the end of this week, don't you think, Missy? I mean, if we needed to
so.
touch base again,
Yeah.
we could. put something
Yeah,
on the calendar.
I think so.
Okay.
Do you feel comfortable with that,
Awesome.
Natalie?
Yeah.
Okay. This
Is
is
April
something,
enough time for them to turn around marketing material? I know it kind of is hit and miss on different
I think that should be fine.
lead times. Okay.
I'm not sure about these feather flags. I've never looked into those, but as far as the other things,
once those are ordered, I think it's 6 weeks. Like 4 to 6 weeks.
Yeah, probably.
It's been a few years, but when I looked at them, I remember it being like a month or two.
Cool.
Okay.
We knocked out a lot today.
Yes, I apologize for going over. I was not able to see. I was not paying attention to the clock. My apologies on that.
Excited to get it
Yeah, well, we've got our first couple applications that we'll be presenting to in the monthly meeting on Tuesday next week, and I will also plan to touch base and present this to the Kansas City Corporate Challenge board at their next meeting and go from there.
Cool.
All right.
Thank you, everyone.
Awesome.
Thank you. And